That's why smart businesses aren't starting podcasts to become influencers. They're starting podcasts to become better businesses. Your clients hear your voice, your referral partners stay educated, prospects get value before they ever buy, and people begin feeling like they know you. That is trust, and trust shortens the sales cycle. What's going on, everyone? Stephen Harris here, running a solo pod, and today's episode is going to be all about why podcasting is smart for business. Most people think a podcast is a marketing strategy, and I think it's backwards. A podcast is actually a business development tool that just happens to create marketing. The downloads are a bonus, but I'm going to tell you about all of the benefits of why podcasting makes sense. It's not about trying to drive revenue from the podcast directly. It's not trying to become the next famous podcaster and getting a Netflix deal or Spotify deal or something like that. It's all about your business, your small business, your big business, whatever it is that you're working on, and trying to generate and create value for not only your clients, your partners, your teams as you're scaling your business, but yourself. And I think podcasting is one of the most creative ways to do that. Sure, you can get online, you can write blogs, you can write a newsletter, you can share quick hitters, viral clips, things like that. You can type out captions and Instagram posts, and short form is great. It has its purpose. But I think podcasting, long form content is really great for those that they'd rather listen to somebody, they'd rather sit in on a conversation and learn something new. And when you become the brand, the authority leader in your industry or your community, then that generates trust, it generates credibility, and it allows you to grow your business indirectly. It allows you to grow revenue indirectly. It's not a true one-on-one sales process, but you're creating interest in what it is that you do. So I wanted to go through 4 different ideas or thoughts on why podcasting is really, really smart for your business. If you're a founder, if you're a business owner, if you started a local business, it's 100% the best way you can create a community, create scalability with your team, generate buzz around your business, and build a brand that's a lot of fun. It's a creative outlet. You may have your day-to-day operations, but when you run a podcast, it only takes 15, 20 minutes an episode, and you are able to share it with your audience. So I'm going to start with the first reason why podcasting is killer. And it has nothing to do with business. It's all about you. The asset that is you, it's personal development. If you think about it, if you're putting out an episode every single week, you literally have just created consistency and discipline in your life that you may not otherwise have in other areas. Yeah, you're working every day. Yeah, you're providing for your families. And yes, you're providing for your clients and all that stuff. But what about yourself? Maybe you're hitting the gym, you're doing things like that. You've got other habits and you're building that identity shift. But when you can learn something new every single week, and learn it so well that you're able to share it with others and talk about it, you can't fake consistency behind a microphone. You literally have to understand what it is that you're trying to say. So every week you're forced to organize your thoughts. You're forced to communicate more clearly, and you ultimately become a better storyteller. So that improves your confidence. It sharpens your expertise. And so when you're out there in the marketplace, you're able to articulate what it is that you're trying to sell or what it is you're trying to do and how you're trying to serve your clients and the value that you bring into the marketplace as you continue to talk about it and share these best practices. And so even if you record 50 episodes this year, that's about 1 a week. You've spent dozens of hours thinking deeply about your business. That's personal development disguised as content creation. But the biggest surprise isn't what happens to you. It's what happens inside of your business. So let me give you an example. Recently, I did a solo podcast on what is intrapreneurship. And these are things that I share with my team in my payroll business. So for those that don't know, I own a franchise-based payroll business. We have a growing team. We scale our team. We continue to serve small business at a high level here locally in Phoenix, Arizona. And what's really cool about setting an episode up for my team is now I can share what is intrapreneurship without saying it to them one-on-one. Yeah, we talk about it all the time, and we talk about building ideas and frameworks of what intrapreneurship is and how you own your role and how you crush that role and how you look at it as an overall business success, that if my role and my book of business is successful, then what does that do for the overall picture of the team and the business? And yeah, we talk about it, but having a podcast episode gives me something to share with my team, reinvigorate that energy and excitement around what it is that each individual person is trying to do within the organization. When I shared this with my team, they were able to see themselves as I was talking in different stories that I was sharing. And what also is cool is when you bring on new hires, you can have this episode that they watch and learn from and understand the mindset that you have within your company culture. So instead of explaining your philosophy over and over and over, your team just hears how you make those decisions, how you solve those problems, what matters most to you as the owner of the business, and why the company exists. Now, you may be interviewing others. It may not just be yourself. You may not just be you spewing out knowledge and expertise and different things that you understand and know, but you may be interviewing partners, or you may be interviewing clients, or even team members. And now employees can understand what it is and who you are talking to. Instead of asking, what would the owner say in this situation? They're listening to you interviewing someone else. They're listening to that conversation. They already know how you think and how you act in the marketplace. And culture isn't something that's built during meetings. It's built through repeated communication. I don't know how many times you have to continuously repeat something to somebody for it to really click. It takes a long time for people to understand what it is that you're trying to say. Anytime you're pushing stuff out, or you have a new policy or a process, you have to go over these things over and over and over before it really truly takes form and it's understood. And so podcasting, what it also does is it strengthens the relationships with your team. Now you have something to talk about. When you come into the office, someone may say, hey, I love that episode you did. And what was your overall thought about that? I want to talk about that further. And that actually happens. So again, you're not starting a podcast to become famous. You're starting a podcast to grow the asset that is you, become sharper, become better, and share stories with your team and develop the culture of entrepreneurship and ownership over their roles and what the overall organization is looking like. So you're all rowing in the same direction. Now, externally, this also strengthens relationship with clients, partners, and different referral sources. And this is where the podcast becomes a relationship builder. Imagine sending an episode instead of writing another email. Instead of typing that out, here's a link. I thought of you, and this episode I think will really hit home for you. Your clients then hear your voice. Your referral partners stay educated. Prospects get value before they ever buy, and people begin feeling like they know you. That is trust, and trust shortens the sales cycle. Think about it. No one loves cold calling. It's not their most favorite process when you're in sales. Calling someone out of the blue, and it's very rare that you get someone to buy off the phone call, one call close. People nowadays in our world are doing their research. They're trying to build trust, and they've already sold on your business and on your service before they even speak to you. And so if you have a podcast that you're putting out there into the world, not only can you share that episode with them, but you're also building that audience. If they find you, then you can build that trust before they even buy. Instead of saying, here's what we do, you send a 15-minute episode explaining exactly how we solve this problem. So for example, if you're an HVAC owner and you share a podcast episode to realtors that says, here's what to look for your new buyer in order to make sure that they've got a great AC unit and maintenance plan going into their new home. There's nothing worse than getting back an inspection report saying everything's good, and then a year later, the HVAC unit goes down. And now they're hanging out in the middle of the summer in Arizona in their new home that they're excited about dealing with a new HVAC unit. But if you're an HVAC owner, you could send these episodes and send them out to your realtor friends, to your property managers, to those around you, and say, hey, here's something you can share with your new homeowner, your buyer. You can also develop the relationship with the partner and say, here's some things that you need to look out for during that process. And then when the time comes for them to buy a new home, or they look at new things, or something happens, now they're coming to you as the expert, as the authority, as the leader, and they're buying from you. So you're educating at scale. You're not just talking one-on-one, sending cold emails. You're absolutely building a brand and authority within a medium, whether it's video or voice. Most people still listen to podcasts via voice, whether they're driving, cleaning the house. But if you do video, then they can see your face as well, your expressions and your excitement around what it is that you want to do. You're sharing your own stories, your own expertise, and you only have to do 15 to 20-minute episodes. And you're creating dozens and dozens of content from that one episode. Now, what's funny is a lot of people think that every episode is just a lot of work, and it really isn't. It's not that hard. You jump on a virtual studio. We use a platform called Riverside. Go to riverside.fm, log in remotely. It's crystal clear audio, crystal clear video. Get yourself a USB mic, maybe a 4K USB webcam, and some headphones, and call it a day. Jump on for 20 minutes, record. Riverside even has its own editor built in, or you could subscribe to something like Descript. Descript is a great text-based editor where you literally load the video in, it transcribes the entire thing for you. You can edit the video by literally deleting a sentence and it'll cut that line from the video, export it, upload to YouTube. Then you take that YouTube video and upload that link to something like Opus Clip. Opus Clip will take that YouTube link. It'll create clips for you out of your podcast. You can build the template, however long you want the clips, less than 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds, longer than 60 seconds, whatever it is you want to do, and brand it, build the color scheme and all that stuff within Opus. Connect your social media accounts and then choose the clips you want to publish, and it'll schedule it out for you. It's a clip farm, and consistent content creates that awareness, which awareness creates the conversations, and having those conversations create referrals. At the end of the day, referrals create customers, and we're looking for more at-bats. We're always looking for more opportunities to close new business, create impact, be a resource for those around us. And if you only judge a podcast by downloads, you're measuring the wrong thing. Measure it by how much better you become as a leader. Measure how much clearer your team becomes. Measure how much stronger your client relations become. And measure how much easier your marketing becomes. That's why smart businesses aren't starting podcasts to become influencers. They're starting podcasts to become better businesses. It's pretty easy to do this stuff. And again, the purpose is not to become the biggest, baddest podcaster in the world or the biggest YouTuber in the world. Your goal is to focus on growing your small business. And podcasting is a way to generate more business. So you build yourself personally, you build clientele through referrals and building an audience, you build trust with your team in the marketplace, and you get to have a lot of fun doing it. Repurposing your podcast episode is super easy as well. Get a transcription out of Riverside or Descript and plug it into your email platform. If you have a newsletter already, you can even use Claude or ChatGPT to take that transcription, say, hey, use all of my words, but can you shorten this? Create a blog post for me or a newsletter post that I can send out to my audience, and then also add in the podcast episode so those that want to see the video can see the video. But there's so many neat ways to continue growing yourself and your business by launching a podcast, leveraging a podcast, and creating all sorts of content, and just continue having fun doing it with cool people, interviewing fun people, interviewing prospects, partners, clients, team members, and just having conversations and being authentically yourself. Don't try to be anyone that you're not, and just have so much fun. It's a great way to enjoy life while building business, and it gets you out of the day-to-day monotony. All right. And lastly, one of the coolest, most underrated things about podcasting is it's a legacy piece. If you've got family, you've got kids, you've got brothers, sisters, parents, whatever, and you just want them to know who you are and what you're up to, they get an opportunity to listen in on what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're trying to create. And even as morbid as this may sound, even after you're gone, people are able to listen to, especially your kids. They can jump in and see what dad or mom are talking about and how they built their business, and they can learn from you. So I look at it as personally as a way to build discipline and consistency. It's a legacy piece for my kids. My wife can jump on and listen to what I'm talking about and how I'm building the business that we're trying to create. And my team learns from how I operate. They learn how I think. They learn about what I'm trying to do in order to build a successful business alongside them. My partners, my clients, I can build trust and credibility And people like to work with people that are trustworthy and do what they say they're going to do. And so you have this really cool opportunity to build something special. Now, again, it's really easy to do yourself through those platforms that I talked about. May take you a few hours a week if you're doing a weekly episode, or you could use someone like Dolphin Podcasting, which is who produces our podcast at the Success Flow podcast. We record, they handle the rest. They brand it, publish it, edit it, throw it up on Spotify, YouTube, and all the other podcast platforms, and then create the clips and post them to our social media channels. So I'll leave you with this. If you've been thinking about launching a podcast, but you're like, I don't want to be one of those talking heads, and I don't want to be looked at as just another podcast, or I don't even know what I would talk about, or it seems like I need this big fancy studio and I need to spend all this money on equipment. And no, it's a lot easier than you think. All the links for everything I just said will be in the show notes. And I hope you really, really got a lot out of this episode and inspired you to think about launching your own podcast. Whether you do it yourself or use someone like Dolphin Podcasting, I think it's a really neat way to grow yourself and grow your business. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. Because again, the best business podcasts aren't built for fame. They're built with purpose. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Click on the links in the show notes, and we'll be back at you next week.